Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to have you here with us today. We are going to show our face a little bit today. So I'm Demita James, and we have Laura Sims in the view box as well. And this is our last webinar on social emotional learning series that we have done for the at-home series. And this one is about self-care and mindfulness, and it's entitled Just Breathe. So we are going to go ahead and get started. As you can see, there's a tiny URL for a sign in. You do not have to stop and do it right now, but I would ask that if you would, at the end of this presentation, if you have not already signed in, please sign in. This kind of helps us to see who has actually participated. I know people have been popping in and out for the series the last 4 weeks. So I would just kind of want to have an idea of who has been present with us. So please take a moment and sign in at some point today. I put in the chat box earlier that I am excited about this series, this session in the series. This one is probably one of my favorites because we actually do some activities. And so we're going to be flipping between our PowerPoint today and the activities that you'll see and participate with. Hopefully you will do it with no shame because nobody will be able to see you at home. So kind of get comfortable and we'll go through this presentation within our 30 minutes time. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and you'll see us throughout the sessions as we're flipping through the different parts of the presentation. All right, so in this session, as I said before, you will learn about the importance of self-care, not only for you, but for your students. It's the whole idea that love makes the world go round. As you learn to manage your stress and practice great self-care, you become better for those around you. You will learn quick, simple strategies and tools that can be incorporated throughout your day. So this session is called Just Breathe. Our learning targets today, if I can get my PowerPoint to my arrow to move. Our learning targets today will be that you will learn why mindfulness is important. You will learn ways to implement it in your class and in your life. And you will feel refreshed by the end of this segment. So before we can get started, I'm going to kind of slow down just a little bit. It seems like I am way ahead of our presentation in the window, and I want to kind of be able to be in a moment with you for a minute. So before we get started, I want you to look at the picture. Is your mind full of thoughts like the man, or being mindful of your present moment like the dog? We call it being mindful because that's something that we are, not something that we have to do. It's not another chore or an us versus them affiliation. It's not owned by any group or social class. It's the ability to be on the spot, aware of what's going on inside, outside, and all around us, connecting us with others. And that is a part of being human. Before we get too deep into this topic, we're going to start with an activity. So this is something that you can also do with your students or even your personal children, and of course yourself. Many of you may know the Go Noodle website. So this is taken from Go Noodle. I love Go Noodle. I like to dance when I used to go to the schools and work with the kids. I like to dance with the kids, but this is also a good calming one that we can do with our students as well, and probably really good when we're doing transitions throughout the day. So let's go switch to that activity. Give me just a second and I'm going to switch over to that activity. All right, here we are.
From mindless to mindful. To be mindful is to let your attention rest on this moment, on just right now. Let's practice being in the moment. Your body is still, right now. Can you feel that? Your breath is moving in and out of your nose. Can you notice that? Rest one hand on your chest. Can you feel your breath? Move that hand to your belly. Notice breath there. Can you feel that? Bring your hands around to your back. Breath might be moving there. Feel that? This bell is ringing right now. Can you hear that? Where is your attention? Did it wander? It's okay. That's what minds do. Let's practice a little bit more. Now this bell is ringing. Can you hear that? This green dot is still. Can you see that? Some of the other dots are moving. Notice that and then focus your attention on the very still dot. Return your attention to your body. Hands. They're still. Can you feel them?
Well, we seem to have some technical difficulties and we didn't get to finish that. And that was a really good segment. I'm not quite sure what's going on. It doesn't seem to want to reconnect. So I'm going to go back to our presentation because we know we have to be flexible in these things. And hopefully you'll go back and complete that segment at a later time. I hate that that happened, but technology happens and the weather is kind of bad. So a storm may be almost about to happen, which is causing it to have a little delay in the internet service. So let's go back to our presentation, but that gives you an idea of what mindfulness is. She kind of went through that practice with you so that you can have an idea of some of the things that you're needing to stop and just be in a moment and be aware of what you are doing and where you are. So the whole concept of mindfulness is it's a basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we're doing, and not overly reactive and overly overwhelmed by what is going on around us. So we're going to go on, and hopefully our other videos and things will work pretty good later on. So why do we need mindfulness? So how many of you have felt any of the things that are on the screen right now? Distractions, anxiety, stress, worry, conflict during this time of the COVID-19. Whether it is stress of family, health, work, our minds are often distracted. And if we feel this way, we talked about this earlier in our segments, that if we feel this way, our students may be feeling these same emotions. So we have to think about those students. We think about our students who have emotional behavioral issues already. How many times do we tell those students to calm down or to breathe? But do they really know how to do that? How do we teach them to do that? Are we teaching them what that looks like? Are we teaching them what that feels like in our body? That activity that we just went through with the Go Noodle, it gives them an opportunity to be able to feel the breath in their body, to feel how their body feels when they go through that calming period, so that they know where they need to go back to when they are feeling that overwhelmness and that worry and that stressful situation is approaching them. So we have to remember that we have to teach behavior strategies just like we teach academic strategies. Let's look at some numbers. Statistically, more and more cities are seeing, in school districts, are seeing that teens are stressed. Some are developing programs for teachers and families to help them determine stressful situations and to teach how to deal with those stressful situations in a healthy, stress relieving manner. So there are some resources online, and at the end of this presentation, and even on our SEL website, you'll see a lot of different resources on that website that can help you go through, for even young kids to teenagers and adults, to help them be able to learn how to manage their stress and work through those issues a little bit better. So, but look at the statistics. We know that students have identified their stress to be increasing over the years. And some students don't even realize, or teens don't even realize, that they are stressed. So, even them being able to identify what that stress looks like for them, and being able to pinpoint that this is stress, and then being able to handle it, is what we really want them to be able to do. And then let's talk about adults. How many of us as educators, and I know parents can be in that category as well, but this study that was completed in 2017 shows us that 61% of the teachers that was evaluated for that study said that they were stressed out. 58% say that their mental health is not good. And 61% of the teachers reported that they feel stressed at work always or often. So we know that work can be a stressor, health can be a stressor, family can be a stressor, but we got to know what are some realistic strategies that can help us deal with that stress when we experience it. So, the benefits of mindfulness. Um, as educators and students, we often carry a lot on our shoulders. We're trying to meet the academic and social expectations, as well as now with concerns within our nation. People as a whole are stressed. So the link to the mindfulschools.org website not only gives us statistical information about the state of our students, but it also gives us some ideas of what we can do to help our students. And it's often difficult for students to learn if their minds are full of other things. So we want to make sure that we kind of help them clear their brain power so that they can learn more on the educational side. So we have to have that whole body wellness approach in the education system, because we know that there are some positive effects to dealing with our social emotional well-being. The A study that was done in 2018 revealed a positive effect size of 0.19. And if you're not really familiar with an effect size, it is basically the the amount of growth, of academic growth, that a student performs in a year, which is typically 0.40. So if we're looking just at social emotional well-being, that's almost half of those positive effect size for a student to be able to learn. So, and that's dealing with executive functioning skills, that's dealing with their attention, dealing with students who have those social emotional identified issues like depression, anxiety, and stress, and any kind of negative behavior. So if we just focus on the mindfulness practice, the social emotional needs of the students, we can get a higher academic growth for that year if we just focus on the social emotional needs of the students. So what can we do? We can embed social emotional learning throughout the school day. We can provide direct instruction and guided opportunities for practice. And we can build our classroom community and school culture of acceptance, tolerance, and kindness. The link below gives you an access to the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, CASA, which is a highly effective evidence-based kindness in the classroom curriculum for social emotional needs. This curriculum is based on the focus of equity, teacher self-care, digital citizenship, and they provide more engaging, relatable, and inclusive curriculum. So you may want to check that link out. They do have some free things for educators. And there's also, I think, you can go to that same link and find some things for at home activities that can be done. But those are things that we can do. We have to embed those social emotional skills throughout our day. All right, so we know that there's different kinds of social emotional activities that we can do, and mindfulness is one of them. So there are several mindfulness practices that can be done. We can be mindful in our breathing. We can be mindful in our stretching, mindful in our sensations that are around us by using our senses. We can be mindful in just our walking or driving. How many times have you walked or driven somewhere only not to remember how you got there? I know the other day I was driving and I did not even remember um, driving from the store to back home because I was not really focused on the activity. I'm like, oh man, I got here quick. But sometimes our mind is distracted and we are thinking about other things and that we are not always in the moment. So we have to be mindful. I know I have been guilty of that, and I'm sure a lot of you have too. So when we think about mindfulness, there are a lot of other activities that we can look at in our mindfulness. Why don't you kind of start making yourself a list so that when you want to try to practice some of these things, you're taking that moment to just be in that moment, whether you're reading or whether you're walking or whether you're eating, whether you're watching TV. I don't know how many times, I know my family is guilty. We're watching TV, but we still have our devices in our hands. So we're not really being completely in the moment. And that's part of just being mindful. All right, so we're going to do another practice. And this website, while I am pulling that video up, hopefully, like I said, this one will work. This website that is going to be listed for you provides you with some great mindful activities that you can do at home, at your school, and at your office, in your desk, lying in bed. Is really, really helpful for you to have that moment. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that.
So find a relaxed, comfortable position, seated on a chair or on the floor on a cushion. Keep your back upright, but not too tight. Hands resting wherever they're comfortable. Tongue on the roof of your mouth or wherever it's comfortable. And you can notice your body from the inside, noticing the shape of your body, the weight, touch. And let yourself relax and become curious about your body seated here, the sensations of your body, the touch, the connection with the floor or the chair. Relax any areas of tightness or tension. Just breathe, soften. And now begin to tune into your breath in your body, feeling the natural flow of breath. Don't need to do anything to your breath. Not long, not short, just natural. And notice where you feel your breath in your body. It might be in your abdomen. It may be in your chest or throat or in your nostrils. See if you can feel the sensations of breath, one breath at a time. When one breath ends, the next breath begins. Now, as you do this, you might notice that your mind may start to wander. You might start thinking about other things. If this happens, this is not a problem. It's very natural. Just notice that your mind has wandered. You can say thinking or wandering in your head softly. And then gently redirect your attention right back to the breathing. So we'll stay with this for some time in silence, just a short time. Noticing our breath, from time to time getting lost in thought and returning to our breath. See if you can be really kind to yourself in the process.
Okay, how do y'all feel about that? Hopefully, that was enough to kind of recenter and get your mind going back into a nice space. Um, I would have loved to be able to just close my eyes and make sure that, and not have to worry about whether the video was showing, but close my eyes and actually participated in that with you with no lights, and think about how that would feel in a classroom, just as you are transitioning, as you're seeing that your students are getting kind of overwhelmed. And what about even at home? Do you have students who are your kids who are just needing a moment to just kind of sit down and be quiet? And it's hard to say, go sit down and be quiet, and not really have an activity to go along with it. So this gives them a purpose, gives them something to do, give them some guided practice with this. So these guided, I'm so sorry, y'all, I forgot to remove the thing. These guided practices are there on that website, that UCLA website, and I will get back to that PowerPoint. There it is for you. And I apologize. I got to talking and totally forgot that I hadn't shared that screen with you. So there you have it. And there's a longer guided meditation practice, or whatever you want to call it, but it kind of gives you that opportunity to just be still. I see in the chat box, James said soft music may help in the classroom. That's very true. I used to love listening to classical music in the classroom. My kids got used to it, and it was better than them working in silence. So, it's really helpful and relaxing, and kind of gets them to have a calm state altogether. So check that website out if you want to look, and they're all recorded and they're free. So let's look a little deeper. Um, This is a little technical, but it gives us a reason as to why this practice of mindfulness and self social emotional well-being is really needed in the educational environment. So for a lot of our students, the prefrontal cortex is not always developed. Um, because the students develop at different rates, and so they may not, that part of the brain may not be fully developed in our students. And so sometimes we see students go from 0 to 100, which is the amygdala part of the brain. So we have to build that prefrontal cortex so that our students are not always in a state of constant stress. And as you can see, the prefrontal cortex have 9 functions that shows empathy, insight, response flexibility, emotion regulation, body regulation, morality, intuition, attuned communication, and fear modulation. So when you talk about a student who doesn't have that part of the brain fully developed, um, it's going to impact how they react to situations. It's going to impact how they are learning situations. So we have to teach them how to self-regulate. And James did say that executive functioning is highly important, because that part is being able to have the ability to think about your thinking, that higher reasoning, that being able to make good decisions, and being able to kind of piece things together. That's all important, but that's all in that prefrontal cortex. So that kind of gives us an idea of what we need to be focusing on when we're working with those students, and help teach them how their brain works and practice with them strategies that can help them when situations occur. So I won't go into a full details by that, because I'm by no means am I a neurologist, but there is something that has to be said about teaching those executive functioning skills. All right, so mindfulness calms the brain. Um, as I said several times before, students have to be taught the social emotional skills just like we teach reading and math, and we can incorporate those practices during transitions. We can help students even during times of transitioning from one subject or academic task to another. A lot of times, those chimes that we heard at the beginning of our session today with the Go Noodle, those chimes are really good ways to transition. It kind of provides that little calming. You can even do an activity where you hit the chime and try to have the students to kind of hold on to that sound for an extended period of time. It does something with switching how their brain is interacting. So there's a lot of different things that we can do to try to help calm our brain. And that link that's in the picture below, like I said, you'll have access to this PowerPoint on our social emotional website. But the link that's in the PowerPoint shows it's a YouTube video, and it's really, really good. So I would say please go back and look at it. But the focus of the video is a Baltimore public schools replace their detention, like their ISS, with meditation. So instead of the students going to an ISS and having it more of a punitive type thing, they were going to this room to kind of center themselves, and then being able to go back to their classroom. And so the students actually talk about how they crave those times to be able to use those mindfulness practices to help calm their body and mind during times of stress. So go back and look at that video if you have a chance. Um, and then lastly, mindfulness and self-regulation is the ability to monitor and control our own behavior, emotions, thoughts, and altering them in accordance with the demands of the situation. So when we talk about our students, again, our kids in general, a lot of times they don't know how to switch that on and off. And that's where we kind of have to teach those skills to them. And this includes the ability to inhibit first responses, to resist interference from irrelevant stimulation, and to persist on relevant tasks even when we don't enjoy them. So we have to kind of build that capacity up for our students. All right, so lastly, before we let y'all go today, we are going to do one other activity, and that is going to be our mindful stretching. And that is another word for yoga. So I don't know if many of you practice yoga. It is one of my favorite things. It helps stretch, just kind of stretch your body as you get older. I think you kind of learn to appreciate those morning stretches because your body don't move as fast as they used to, and those bones kind of start creaking just a little bit. So yoga for me is helpful not only for my mind but also for my physical well-being. And so the whole point of mindful yoga is to yoke your brain and your body and your mind together. Now, word of caution is that everybody's body is different, and some of us may be more flexible than others. So, while you're doing any kind of yoga poses, make sure that you are erring on the side of wisdom and safety. So, with that, if you could, while I get the video up and running, find you a comfortable spot where you can stand up. We're not going to be doing anything laying down, and it's only about a minute and a half or so. So, stand up, take your headphones out if you have headphones as I switch this video, and just get ready to do this pose. Give me just a second. All right, we're moving to another screen. This has been interesting today to flip from one thing to another, but that's okay. We're doing it. All right, so we are ready to do the yoga stretching. Here we go.
Aloha. We're going to reach our arms up to the sky. Inhale and exhale. Open your arms nice and wide. Let's do that one more time. Inhale up to the sky and exhale. Stretch the arms out. Good. Let's do a full spinal roll. Inhale up. Exhale, open the arms and bring your chin down. Round your shoulders. Start to bend your knees and roll it down. Go as far as you feel comfortable, and then you want to roll back up. Let your head come up last. And stretch back up to the sky. Inhale and exhale. Let's repeat. Rolling down. Soften your knees because that helps to release your lower back. Let your head relax. And then stack your vertebrae. Roll it up. Head comes up last. One more time. Inhale and exhale. Good. All right. This time, inhale. Exhale. We're going to lower just your right arm and then reach over to your right with that left arm up and over, stretching all the way down the side of your body. And it's okay to let your hips shift a little.
And we got a little bit of a practice in. I don't know why those two videos did not show in full, but there is, if you click on the link at the very top of the title, it shows, can y'all see that? Yes. If you click on the link at the very top of the PowerPoint, you will be able to get to that. And so, like I said, you'll have access to all of this on that social emotional website page that you go to get to our presentations. All right, so just very quickly, since we're running out of time, there are some yoga sequence for kids that you can do that are chair sequence, desk sequence, standing sequence. It doesn't have to be anything major. They can be little 5-minute activities just to kind of redirect them and to get them moving. They don't have to take that long. So those are some links to some videos for that as well. And then lastly, we have to remember that mindfulness begins with us. A mindful classroom begins with the staff, and we have to put our mask on first. And that's kind of funny that that word mask is being utilized since we're probably going to end up going back to school with masks on come the fall, but we have to literally put on our mask, put on our protective gear, our mental protective gear in order for us to be able to work with our students. And we have to remember that we only can give what we have. You can't pour from an empty vessel. And your students, your families, your kids all deserve the best of you. So you have to take care of yourself first, and you can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. So we have to develop a healthy self-care practice. So once again, here are some apps and websites that you can use to help with practicing these with your students. This can be implemented in all environments. If you have any questions or want to implement these components in your environment and need assistance, please feel free to contact me. Our information is on that social emotional webpage. I would love to see your implementation of these when school gets back in, or what you're doing at home with your students. We will even spotlight you on our webpage. So, if you see that, send us some pictures or some activities. We love to hear your testimony of how this is working for you. And we appreciate you tuning in today and with us for the last 4 weeks. I'm going to show Laura and I again, so you can see who you're talking to for one last time. And although this has been a new format for us, this has been a learning experience for us. And we know that this may be a new way of us providing some professional learning for you in the upcoming months. So we really want to know your needs and how we can best support and serve you. So I have, in addition to the sign-in sheet, there is a link down at the bottom. If you have not written that down, please do so. There's an evaluation form that you can go ahead and access, and I will also make sure that it's sent to you in an email for everybody who was registered. But please fill that evaluation form out just so we can know how this series went for you, since this was a new way of doing things, and how we can best serve you in the future. And we really appreciate everything that you have brought to the table in your positive comments in the box. So if you don't have any questions or anything, please send things in the comments and we can always get back to you. And don't forget to sign in as well at tinyurl.com/SEL May 26th. And I think we are signing off for now. Y'all have a good week.
Demita.
All right.
Y'all
Bye-bye.
take care. Stay safe.